Hey, hello and welcome to another interview with the Animatrix Festival 2021. We have two wonderful animators, one from Sweden, the other one from the Czech Republic, joining us here, Karolina Sandvik and Michaela Mihalova. And so, welcome. Please introduce yourselves and. Which one we
Hi.
start? Should we? Michaela, you want to start? Yeah, sorry, which one? Okay, Michaela,
Yeah,
go ahead first. Yeah, please.
I'm
Sorry.
just going in. Hi, I'm Michaela Mihalyova. I live in Czech Republic, but I'm from Slovakia, but it's like next to each other. So, and I'm animation director. And yeah,
Which film did you have in our festival, or which film did you direct?
I co-directed Shit Happens with David Stumpf as well. So it's our kind of partially school film from FAMU in Prague and partially like a bit of professional film. So it's a co-production. But yeah, it was made at FAMU in Prague, which I successfully finished, and David as well. So
Wonderful. Yeah, it's a really wonderful film, and yeah, and quite yeah, sort of like very sad and funny at the same time. So there's very interesting sort of like very sad relationships going on in there. And yeah, can you tell us about the idea and the story of the film, like briefly, and how did you start with the project?
So the film is adaptation of one biblical story, which I don't want to spoil. And the film was we've attended the school in Slovakia before FAMU.
So, Michael, yes, continue about the subject of your film and then how you started with the project called, with the animation entitled Shit Happens, if I may say so.
Yeah, sure. I'm not sure what is safe, what part of the things that I said, but I will say it again just in
Mhm.
case.
Yes.
It's we started with the co-director and co-writer David Stumpf and my boyfriend. We started to develop it like 7 years ago at our previous school in Bratislava in Slovakia, and it was supposed to be my bachelor film. And then I kind of switched schools and everything, so we kind of developed it over the years, I guess. And yeah, we kind of learned by mm, I think by just working on it because we didn't know how to write or to how to direct something a bit bigger than like 2 minute short exercises to school. So it was a bit challenge to also like find a producer and like discover how it works. So yeah, but in the end it became like a co-production film with FAMU. So it was partially like student film and partially a bit of professional one. So
Mhm. Yeah, it's a wonderful film. I really like the animation is really good. The style, the colors, and everything is really interesting. I really love that, and the way it's animated is like really professional, really interesting. And it's kind of there's a lot of like emotions and a lot of like comedy in the way it's kind of made. And I yeah, I really enjoyed it. Can you tell us because I've seen some other short films that you did before that, and I think were they were like this kind of stop motion animation or piece animation you did. There was what's it called? Food. You have these like really cute short ones like food, and what is the other one called? The party or something? No, no, no. Yeah, something like that.
a date,
Yeah,
you mean?
dates. Yeah,
Okay.
which is yeah really interesting. Has these kind of really sexual jokes in it, but yeah, it's quite interesting. But yeah, tell us about those. And was and basically about that, was this your first 2D animation because you kind of changed now the technique that you.
Um, I worked with 2D before, but it yeah, like the progress to this film, which is much longer than I ever did before. It was like a merge of me and David that he animated it by himself. So the 2D technique was kind of a choice of like it mm, the story needed to be told in 2D because of the lot of characters and everything. I guess it won't be possible, or we didn't imagine it to be possible in puppet or stop motion. But and those like really short films, those were like exercises at school at FAMU, which is nice that we had like every year like a different technique. So we had to do like cutout or like yeah, stop motion, but like cutout, and then also like puppet. So I did this bit of how to say, like a bit of a sexual themed stop motion, little like very short films, like both of them are like 1 minute. But I guess it was more exploring the technique, and with like I like the contrast of like very cute and clean visual with a bit of not nasty, but a bit of like raw uh
Yeah, humor maybe or
yeah,
something. Yeah.
humor or like themes, or yeah, I like the idea of like cutesy paper dolls having sex in spaghetti, I guess. I don't know, like it was a bit of yeah, but it didn't have like before we didn't have to write a script, but I wanted to try something really small because it was, yeah, I felt like it's nice way how to learn how to, I don't know, write something very short. And I guess it was kind of my exercises how to, yeah, write a joke or something
Yeah.
before like something bigger. Yeah.
Yeah, but they work really well, and I think the way you animated it, they're kind of very interesting and cute. I think like those I find like really kind of memorable, and I think and I guess like they did they were in a lot of festivals at least, and I think like it's just like the humor and the animation, they all go together very well in those. And yeah, I kind of like I sort of started remembering your work from those ones, and then I saw this shit happens, and yeah, that was kind of yeah. And then was that was like big change. I think at least for me that I hadn't seen any other 2D animation from you, and it's of course much longer. So of course it's
Yeah.
challenging to do the story and develop it into something else. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I was thinking. So how because now you've graduated, so how are you continuing? Do you know that are you going to work as a professional, or are you just doing more short films?
Like with Shit Happens, it was not my graduation film because we couldn't graduate together,
Mhm.
but it was like David's, but we co-directed. And I graduated with another film that is still not yet finished or polished. It's animated documentary. It's a bit of stop motion, bit of hand drawn, and it's about teenagehood or like growing up in early 2000s. So like when I was growing up, and it's about like pubes and boobs and like a bit of these kind of themes. So this is something that I'm kind of trying to finish, and then also which I also was that animated by David, uh, like a 2D part. And then I'm now developing another film, so I feel that it's nice transition from school. I'm very lucky to develop another film, and it's about periods or like menstruation, and it's also like an animated documentary.
Mhm.
So something similar that I did with this unfinished film. So this is kind of like in the early stages. I'm now like participating at Anidoc's residency, not residency, but Anidoc's workshop.
Mhm.
So I'm really happy to kind of continue, which yeah, I guess
Okay. So your graduation film, is it you're doing it in collaboration with Anidocs, and is it like a mixed
no,
media you said, or yeah?
it's not my graduation film. It's like the first professional film, like the new one. and it's it's animated documentary. The technique is still not clear to me because it's in the beginnings, but I want to use some stop motions because I love it dearly, I guess. And I want to use also like 2D animation because yeah, I like the, I guess, somehow it can be maybe more nuanced or something. I don't know. Like I feel that I work with it better.
Mm.
So I guess we're trying to find a bit of like balance between those two. So we'll see. But it's really in the beginning. So
Okay,
I'm
okay.
not developing it. So yeah.
But yeah, definitely, yeah, because I really like your like the style and the stop motion that you do. I think it's quite unique and kind of like memorable because I kind of remember those, and then later I think I got to know your
Ah,
name. That okay, yeah, this is the same person who did those. Oh yeah, but yeah, hopefully you continue with those, and you know, good luck with those. And generally in Czech Republic, this the stop motion is so good. They make it so well, and there's so many people who make it. You know,
yeah,
so
I
many
agree.
different styles and techniques. So yeah, yeah, good luck with that. And so we're
Thank
going
you.
to continue with Carolina Sandvik, so we can sort of get through this on time. So welcome, Carolina, and please introduce yourself and tell us maybe briefly about your film in the competition.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Carolina Sandvik. I'm an artist based in Malmö in Sweden, and I'm the director of the stop motion film The Expected. And that film is about failed pregnancy. So it's a kind of a relationship story, body horror elements.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's yeah, it was. I have to say that your film, I really enjoyed it. I think this year and last year that I've been sort of selecting films for Animatrix competition. We've had about, let's say, 700 films or so every year, and it is quite tricky with the films that you know at some point you've watched already, like let's say 500 or 600 films, and you've seen like let's say 30, 40 really bad ones back to back, and it's like, oh no, still 100 to go, and the last 30 was so horrible, and then I can't continue. And then I saw your film, and then I was like, wow, this is so brilliant. Like, oh, just and you know the thing that struck me about it is that is the scenography. I think that what you did, first of all, like the puppets and the technique um, that you used is like so well made. And then also, I think the cinematography is really good. And then there are all these kind of things happening with the water, and I think that there's fish and those ones. I think that technically they were so well made. But then you told me before we started the interview that basically you never went to animation school. So how did you learn to do those, and how did you how long did it take you to learn those things?
Um,
Uh, just
um,
can you say it again? The picture froze for a second. Can you repeat what you just said?
okay. I made my first stop motion test in, I think, 2012. It was just something I tried out when I went to a preparatory art school. And then that's kind of when I realized it's something I'm interested in doing. I never had like an idea before I started that I wanted to make animation specifically. I was kind of lost in what I wanted to do. But then I always had an interest in movies, and so kind of discovering that I could actually make films on a small scale myself. That's kind of what started it, and so I've been just kind of developing my own way of making these films during the years, and I've been spending a lot of time just on the preparation work, just the building of the sets and the characters, and so everything is very DIY. And I think
Froze again.
Half year. Sorry.
Okay. Could you just repeat the last sentence? Yeah, yeah, you get, yeah.
The expected took about 1.5 years to make from start to finish, like from the first idea and writing to the finished film. And yeah, it was made basically with no budget, or I financed it myself, and that's also why I could spend so much time on it and just kind of do
Froze again.
whatever I want. And yeah, I'm
Yeah,
okay.
but this
Yeah,
is
I'm done.
interesting. Yeah, this is because it's very well made. So you basically learn, you kind of self-taught, and you learn everything yourself. And yeah, and then of course then you have to do another day job to get the funding for the film, which is, well, yeah. I mean, of course it's a good way to do, but it was a hard way of doing it. Can you tell me about the puppets that like what kind of armature did you build? Is it like a socket ball things, or is it wire armature, or, or the puppet making generally?
I had a day job actually.
Yes, they can.
Just to comment on what you said before, that I it would have taken much longer time if I had had a day job too. So I was lucky enough to get an artist grant to keep me working. So that's how it was made. Yeah, the puppets. I have 2 different versions of the puppets in the film. So where they have clothes, I have the armature is basically an old Barbie doll that I have. Just to keep the joints basically, and then making it, yeah, giving it different proportions and stuff like that. And then of course making hands, and the head is made from a clay called Super Sculpey, and then with a layer of latex mixed with acrylic paint. So, and then I have a different version of the doll where it's naked, and in those scenes. So it's the same kind of clay, Super Sculpey clay on a wire armature. So it's a bit stiff, but you can still move it, but it's not as flexible.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, because yeah, you've yeah, of course you're using all the like right materials and those ones, and it's, yeah, it shows. It's really, I think visually it's really nice, and all the I think liquids, and then the camera shots are also really good. What I was asking, because when I saw it, because I absolutely love David Cronenberg, and I haven't recently watched anything from him, but I have watched over the course of like at least 20 of his films, and there's something about like Cronenberg is, to me, is the best horror director ever. And then he does obviously this kind of like body horror and centers on those things. And I think like I can sort of see the maybe like the influence in your film, but like if not that, well, you do suspense really well. That you kind of like, especially in this The Expected, is that it is really thrilling, although there isn't anything really like scary happening, but it is really thrilling. And I'm just wondering, like, you probably, did you study cinema somehow, or like, because you're doing it in terms of the like scenes or scenography or script, you're doing it really well.
Thank you. Yeah, Cronenberg is definitely an inspiration. I think that's the kind of horror films that I appreciate the most. That the ones that have these kind of sense of weirdness or eeriness, or like this kind of graphic, physical, yeah, body horror, rather than jump scares and stuff like that. So. But yeah, I studied film a long time ago, and then I studied also script writing for a year. So I have some kind of basic education, but then the script writing was very much about developing characters, and when I left that and started making my own films, I kind of dropped that completely. So I never make any background stories for my characters whatsoever. I just kind of focus on the story or the atmosphere and the images. I think I've always been more interested in the visual.
Yeah, the visuals and do you? Sorry, you first again, but I'm gonna ask me another question. Like, are you interested in the sort of like, let's say, the Hitchcockian way of doing horror, that rather than showing the blood, you make the audience imagine the blood? Is that something similar to what your approach maybe?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that that's kind of my general approach, because one of my first films was like really gory, and it was very by, and especially giallo films, where you kind of make it very graphic and extreme, and kind of enjoying the violence in a way. And then after that, I tried out different approaches to dealing with the horror genre, or different horror genres, because I think I'm kind of interested in a lot of different genres, and how to
Yeah. No, but yeah,
kind of play with where. Yeah.
Yeah. It's problem. Your picture freezes, but okay. But yeah, wonderful to hear. And so you had more like maybe gory ones earlier, and then this one was much more about the suspense. And I think this is really nice, because it kind of it also kind of gives it this surreal aspect. And I'm wondering at this point, because I think it was 4 years ago, there was an animation that from Canada called Dolls Don't Cry, by Frederick Tambry. And then that one's it doesn't have any horror in it, but it's about basically this it's puppet animation. It's 20 minutes long, no music, it's only just sound. And then there is a character the character is an animator, and he animates a puppet. And then basically it gets like the story develops into a way that at some point you lose track of which one is the puppet and which one is the animator, because they are made with the same technique. And yeah, basically there's a guy animating a girl, and then they change around. And also I remember that one was so kind of like strange, and like it's not as suspenseful because it's a different genre, but it's sort of, you lost the sense of reality, or that which one is which now and what's happening now. And then yours, this Expected, has pretty a little bit the same, like you're not exactly sure what's happening there, and basically this female is turning into liquid, and or like and yeah, it has this kind of strange kind of mysterious parts that kind of make it. But what do you think about that? Was that kind of intentional, or what were you thinking about those?
I'm not sure I know exactly what you're asking, but about how intentional it is to make it like
yeah, kind of surreal or mysterious, that basically you're not giving answers to too many things that is happening in the animation, that you keep the answers open for the viewer.
Yeah. That's I think but that's also part of my idea itself, that I don't when I start to make a film, I don't have the intention of like reaching a conclusion, or proving a thesis, or like I don't know. It's much more about trying to.
You froze. Can you repeat like about 10 seconds of what you said? You froze again.
Yeah. I have to remember what I said. Yeah, okay. That I am more interested in creating an atmosphere and a universe kind of for this story, rather than reaching conclusion or providing satisfaction in the end.
Mm. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, that's wonderful. That's a really good. Yeah, that's
So for me, yeah, but in a way, for me, the film is also very. I see it as something. For me, it's very in a way it's clear, because I see it. It's almost like I'm telling a dream that I had. For me, it's very clear, and it seems to make sense while I experience it and while I make it and I present it, and then I can see, of course, that these things are maybe incomprehensible or weird, but it's not to be like deliberately difficult. It's just that it is difficult. This thing that I'm talking about, it is difficult, or it is strange. It's it's a different world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but you do that really well, because I really kind of enjoyed it. That at the first time I saw it, I watched it like a couple of times after that, and I think it was really wonderful just to see like, what's going on? What happened here? And then the events that happen are kind of so surprising that you kind of you're slightly shocked by that, and you want to find out like what's going on. But I think you've done it really well. That in that sense that. It kind of raises questions in the viewer's mind, and I think that's one of the sort of strengths that you quite often see with the good European films. Whereas in America they always want to clarify the answer to have the maximum number, not to confuse the audiences, to have the maximum number of viewers or something like that. But yeah, I really enjoyed this, and as I said, like, and I was really positively surprised, because as I we've talked earlier that that from Sweden there's nowadays so few good directors and good animations come from Sweden. Unlike 30 years ago when there was much more, and it was like really positive. A positive surprise for me to see your work, and so you worked. How long you worked? Like you mentioned, you worked like a year and a half on the film, or
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a long process. So yeah, you have. So what's next for you? Are you do you have already in mind what to do with the next film, or what is your next project?
Yeah, my next project is also a body horror relationship. Actually, it's first, at least as a working, and it's about a couple where one of them starts to lose his skin. So I'm in the preparation, pre-production phase now. I've started to try out the different materials and the puppets, and so I have a script, and I also have a producer this time, and hopefully there's over 5 from the Swedish Film Institute and television. Hopefully, I'm not sure yet, but I'm in contact with them. So hopefully, I have a budget this time.
That sounds great. Yeah, because I mean, Swedish Film Institute, and they do a lot of good production. It's just, so that's wonderful. It makes it so much easier for you because, especially stop motion. There's so much to do, and so it sounds wonderful. And you certainly have the talents with this film, and I think it's like visually, it also looks good. So really, just good luck with the next film, and thank you so much for your film. And also the same for Michaela. It was really wonderful to watch that film. I've watched it several times, and it took us a while before we got it to screening in the festival. But I think a lot of people enjoyed it, and all the comments have been like really positive. So Good luck with your future projects, and it certainly was wonderful talking to you. Unfortunately, we have to finish this, wrap this up because of tight schedule with the master classes and everything. But good luck with you, and you're welcome to Finland whenever this. Hopefully, this pandemic stops soon, so we can sort of travel more freely. But anyway, it was really wonderful hearing from you and talking to you. Really, thank you so much, and good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For
Bye.
a nice
Bye.
interview.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.